I see where that video could have been a little controversial to some people. I liked it for the most part and definitely have several things I can take out of it. He kept saying, like, if you say, oh, I can't afford it, you're just acting poor, you're gonna stay poor. And I think it's really funny. It made me think of my best friend. Whenever I say, like, I can't afford it or something, she's like, if you don't spend your money, who will? So that's kind of where I related those two things. I also noticed the relation to all the videos that we've watched this section. They all relay that you are your limiting factor and your mind is the only thing that's really in the way. Don't hold yourself back and look at like failures as opportunities and hardships as lessons. And I like that he said a question opens the mind where a statement closes it, or other way around, a question opens the mind and a statement closes it. I just really liked that. It is a concise way to say a lot of thoughts that I have about things. And he touched on the fact that we're creatures of habit, and until we break our habits, we won't change. And I've personally experienced that. I touched on it in my last video response. I was just kind of miserable until I woke the crap up and I more or less got over myself. Like, if I would have said those words to myself like 4 years ago, I would have probably had a hissy fit, but I really just had to kind of get over myself and work toward change. Even small steps in the right direction are steps in the right direction. And I had to be accountable for my actions and realize that like the world wasn't out to get me. I was just keeping myself down. And I've always wondered why we don't learn money in schools, but it makes a lot of sense that schools aren't really teaching us to succeed. They're teaching us how to be pawns, kind of, I guess. That's kind of a harsh way to say it, but they're just teaching us how to be members of society, not like leaders of society. And that same woman that I said fired me not for a few reasons, but one of her reasons was I didn't say good morning to her. She also told me, like, very maliciously that I would never be able to work for anybody. And she meant it to be mean, but I took it like, okay, well, maybe they'll be my own boss. And so that's why I'm in business classes. And that was kind of my way of, like, finding my game, like he said in the video. Like, it just reframed my mind, be like, yeah, maybe I don't want to work for someone else for the rest of my life. Like, maybe I need to be my own boss and, like, be in charge of people and, like, do everything that you aren't doing, ma'am. As long as you're hungry, you'll think. That was also something that made me think. As long as I'm like desiring more, or as long as I'm like living below my means in a way, like I will have to think about solutions differently, I guess. I wrote, don't go on a school system soapbox was my next note. So I'll keep it short. I ended up graduating through an alternative high school, and going there, I had like all of these preconceived ideas about what it was going to be like. But what it actually ended up being was the best thing possible for me, because it is like individualized education. They work with you. They give a individual crap about you. They just like work with you through like your learning style, which I thought was really great, that I didn't get at a big high school. And I needed it. And I thought it was really cool that that school that I went to really like made my education a lot more personal and personalized. And it was just great. I graduated. Operating in your comfort zone will only hold you back, and it's kind of like David Goggins said in his video, like, if you're going to strive for mediocrity, like, what are you doing, basically? So I definitely try to push myself out of my comfort zone, and I liked that he said the last two things. Success comes from spirituality, not finance. I have a lot of, like, issues with money, and just knowing, like, if I'm right within, then that, like, stress goes away a little bit. Like, the like the money like issues are still there, but I'm not as like verklempt about it, I guess. And the last thing was he said emergence through emergency, and that was also something I've experienced personally, not just like societally. But I hit rock bottom. I was like the worst I've ever been, and now I feel like I'm thriving. So I really had to like get into that state of emergency to like, this is gonna sound lame, but like be a phoenix from the ashes, you know, and like come out of it on top. And I could go on and on and on, but I'm already at over 5 minutes, so I'll spare you my ramblings. Thanks, guys.